Hey, friends, let me tell you a story about growing up. When I was 12 years old, I got a job with Old Man Lejeski's farm, picking vegetables. And all the kids in the neighborhood worked for Old Man Lejeski, who was this big Polish immigrant farmer that was very gruff with us kids. He was always yelling at us and getting on us and telling us to do things a certain way, the way he wanted it done. But I ultimately loved the guy. He was a huge bear of a man, but he had a big heart. Anyway, we would come to work every day, and he would say, "We're picking green beans," and we would get bushel baskets, and we'd go out and we'd pick green beans. No matter whatever vegetable we were picking had a separate price per bushel. So if we filled a whole bushel basket, we come back and he'd give us the price for the green beans, what it was per bushel. So we got paid by the bushel, not by the hour. And then in the afternoons, we would have lunch with Jules Lejeski and Olga Lejeski, his wife, who was this wonderful older Polish woman who was the typical grandmom. She was such a sweetheart. Could barely understand what she said, but she would make lunch for us all each and every day. So one day we come to work and I was expecting to pick tomatoes or green beans, or we would pick broccoli as well. He said to go get potatoes. So the group of us all went out into the fields and we started looking for potato plants. Well, if you don't know what a potato plant looks like, you could wander around forever. So we wandered around and we couldn't find these potato plants. So one of the boys said, "Hey, when we have baked potatoes, they're always dirty. So I guess they grow underground." Well, there was this big field that had just been plowed that looked like, hey, this would be a great place to have potatoes. So we started digging in this field and just digging holes all over the place looking for potatoes. So after about an hour, hour and a half, although we were afraid to go ask Mr. Lejeski where the potatoes were, I summoned up the courage to go ask him. And I said, "Mr. Lejeski, where are the potatoes?" And he said, "Dig where the taters are, dig where the taters are." So back out to the field we went, thinking that, okay, he said, dig where the taters are. It has to be in this field. So again, we spent another hour digging in the field and couldn't find anything. Now, covered in sweat and dirt, I go back to old man Lejeski and say, "Mr. Lejeski, I just don't know where the potatoes are." So he grabbed this pitchfork and out to this field we went. And there was these plants that looked almost dead. And he shoved this pitchfork into the ground next to this plant and propped it up. And sure enough, under the plant were the potatoes. So if you don't know what a potato looks like when it's out in the field, it looks like a dying plant, and the potatoes are underneath. And the reason I tell you this story is, as a kid, I spent 3 hours looking for these potatoes, and I was digging in this open field. I was digging in the wrong spot. Now, as new managers, like when I was a new manager, oftentimes you jump into every project. You have a to-do list for everything you want to do. And I can tell you, not every task is created equal. There's some tasks that are important and urgent. There's some tasks that are not important and urgent. There's tasks that are not important and not urgent. And there are tasks that are not important but are still urgent. You have to identify what the right tasks are to do. If you're just following one whole to-do list, you're going to dig where the taters are and you're going to dig where the taters aren't. And what I mean by that is you're going to spend a lot of time doing something that's really not important or urgent. You really have to set up your day doing the urgent and important tasks yourself and doing those first. Anything that is important but it's not urgent, put off to another day. Anything that's not important but urgent, delegate that to someone else. A task that has to get done, it's not important but it's urgent, have someone else do it. And then those tasks that are not important and not urgent, you just don't do it. That's where some of the new managers have a struggle, is not doing a task because it's on your to-do list. Don't waste your time. That's digging where the taters aren't. You're going to dig and dig and dig and get nothing accomplished. So my suggestion to you today is Dig where the taters are. And what I just described to you is the Eisenhower matrix. You see, Eisenhower had these four boxes. The boxes I just described. They are urgent and important. They're urgent and not important. They're not urgent but important, and not urgent and not important. If you want to learn how to use the Eisenhower matrix and make your day very productive, skyrocket your productivity, help your team become a high performing team, and dig where the taters are, visit www.thebenderway.com, and I'm going to show you how you can become super productive using the Eisenhower matrix, digging where the taters are. So again, go to thebenderway.com, because if you want to know how I do it, follow me. The Bender way is this way.